How do I get into consulting with zero experience? It's one of the most frequently asked questions that you guys bring to me. But once I explain all of what it takes, we are usually met with, I'm not sure if I can do all that. That seems like quite the jump, and do I even have enough experience? And it's painful to see that those ideas are what bring people back into their comfort zone. And that might be endless calls, frustration with management, and processes that won't change, and results in a lot of people living the same month over and over again of showing up, taking calls, closing deals, getting your commission, showing up. But what if there was a way to bring an end to all of it? What if there was a way to actually start consulting without feeling like you're starting from zero? And even if you have less experience, that just might give you blind confidence through ignorance to go out there and get results regardless. Just like my two friends, Jonas and Jake, who I had the pleasure of spending some time with in person, and we had some adventures. What's crazy about these guys is with nothing more than a high school diploma, I'm talking no formal sales experience, no formal corporate experience, or any professional jobs for that matter, they are able to go out there and produce what is beyond a full-time living, to be able to afford a full penthouse in Arizona and to be able to afford to travel the world, doing what so many people with more experience cringe at, because they figured out how to cross the chasm, which is, am I enough? Do I have enough? Do I know enough to be able to get their first couple clients and start getting momentum? And in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly what it takes to get into consulting, and more importantly, diagnose how your existing knowledge could be your greatest advantage, and how to use that knowledge in a much more profitable way. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. All we talk about is high ticket growth consulting, which is nothing more than finding a business, building or designing a high ticket product, and scaling the sales of that with a remote sales team. Just like Josh, who partnered with a $75 million a year health tech company who sold products for nothing more between $70 to $120, helped them design what is a $7,000 bulk order package of their devices, and has now built a sales team that is selling that for him, where he gets a revenue share and a fixed fee each month. And just the other day, one of his closers brought in a $21,000 paid in full deal, which Josh will get a percentage of without having to take any of the sales calls. So if that excites you, let's jump into how you can start consulting even if you have no experience. So the first part of this is going to be reframing what we mean by experience. Experience falls into two categories. We like to call this soft experience and hard experience, which is a lot like soft skills and hard skills. Now let's break down what some of these are. Soft skills are going to be understanding the language. Soft skills are going to be understanding the cultural norms. Soft skills are going to be understanding the relevant players, the competition. Soft skills are going to be understanding the macro and microeconomic trends. Soft skills are going to be understanding the nuances of the social dynamics for companies. Now, the reason why these are softs is these aren't necessarily things that are quantifiable, but what these give you is what's called a contextual advantage, which is going to make your decision making better and more effective. Now that's really abstract, so stick with me. The next thing we're going to go into is actual hard experience, which is you might know how to physically prospect. You might know how to actually sell and close the deal. You might know how to make proposals. You might understand how to recruit. You also might know how to manage salespeople. You might understand how to work a CRM or have other tech skills. Now, this is going to give you a tactical advantage, because these are things that you can do that other people might not know how to do. Now, how does this come together in creating a consultant? Well, a consultant is nothing more than somebody who has enough contextual understanding and tactical ability to implement strategies. And a strategy is nothing more than the effective execution of tactics with the right context to create an outcome. Let me say that again. A consultant is nothing more than someone who has proper contextual awareness and tactical ability to implement a strategy, which is a series of things that are executed to create a specific outcome. And outcomes are what companies pay for. Outcomes are usually transformational in nature, meaning they're going to take people from one place and bring them to another. I'm going to increase your show rate, increase your revenue, increase your headcount, reduce your turnover. These are things that, when done properly, benefit the business. Now, how does this actually create an offer? Well, the offer becomes, how do you provide a specific outcome for a business using what you know contextually and using what you know tactically? Now, for Josh's example, he contextually understands the world of high ticket sales. And if you're watching this, high ticket doesn't just mean selling something at an expensive price point. High ticket means selling things over Zoom, usually in a 7 to 30 day sales cycle. Usually a lot of people come out of remote closer programs. There's a lot of jargon. That's our definition of high ticket in this example. There's a lot of people who watch this that don't come from what is my definition of high ticket, and that is okay. But for the sake of this video, that's what we're talking about. And our industry has a specific set of cultural norms, specific way of operating, specific way of hiring, specific way of creating a comp plan and structure. So he had a contextual advantage of how to build what is a high ticket sales team, the way that we do in my industry. Now, he has a tactical advantage because he's actually been a part of these and is not intimidated by tech, which is everything that's going to go into building a high-ticket sales team. And as a result of this, the outcome that he promised is we're going to build a high-ticket offer, something that's going to sell your products in bulk. Now, you might be wondering, how did he even find this company or come across them? Well, Josh did a lot of prospecting using his tactical skills to find business owners who had an interest in high ticket and or were wanting to hire salespeople or had a hard time retaining salespeople, and built what is his offer. And if you're curious to learn more about how to actually go out there and find your first client, well, we have other videos on that in the channel. If you check up here in the corner, there should be one that is linked. Okay, so let me bring this whole point home of reframing what we mean by experience and how this leads to you becoming a consultant. You, as a salesperson, having had a professional sales career, will have soft experience and hard experience. Soft experience are things that are very subjective, non-quantifiable, that comes from time that you spent in a specific industry selling a specific product. Soft things are like understanding the dialogue. If you work in medical device sales, you understand how to talk in a way that doctors like. You understand the way that hospitals work. Those are all soft things that are really hard to quantify. Then you have tactical skills, which is how you actually move and get things done effectively. You know the best way to ask questions that lead people to buy. You know the best way to prospect and enter a specific organization. And so using the two of those, you understand what drives outcomes for businesses, and your outcome is what you promise. So to bring this all to a point, there's two types of experience: soft experience and hard experience. Soft are subjective, things that aren't measurable. Hard or objective, things that you can actually do. Now, you use the combination of your soft experience and hard experience to help businesses create outcome. You are the most qualified person to create an outcome because you have more contextual awareness vis-a-vis your soft experience, and you have more tactical prowess vis-a-vis your hard experience to help that business get a result. And what Josh did was he found a company and explained, hey, I understand contextually what you're looking to build, and I also understand tactically how to build it. And because I can do those two things, I can most likely create the outcome that you want of having it, which is profits and more cash flow for your business. And believe it or not, this month we were only halfway through, and they've already made $80,000 additional in his little division that once more he gets a percentage of all of the revenue that comes in, whether he takes sales calls or not. Okay, let's go into the second point, which is going to be skills to build. Now, what I will say is I've not seen a strong correlation for the amount of experience and or skills that somebody has and the amount of money that they are able to make or the amount of success that they see and how quickly they're able to see success as a consultant. I've actually found there to be a bit of an inverse correlation where the less you have, the more you do because you're not thinking as much. When you have more, you think a bit more and it tends to slow you down. Even myself, I find myself getting gridlocked because I can't just blindly follow directions and answers. I need to have a really strong understanding as to how, what, and why makes things work for me, which is why videos like this are helpful. You might be a little bit more like myself. Okay, so with that being said, the skills that you should focus on building, and I will boil it down to this really one core skill, which is going to be sales mastery. And what I mean by mastery, that means developing all of the soft and hard skills that go into making you successful at it. This is going to be prospecting. This is going to be selling. This is going to be closing. Believe it or not, selling is very different than closing. Closing is the art of getting commitment. Selling is the art of sustaining interest. Prospecting, selling, and closing, those are all the hard skills that you need to have. There's also other hard skills that I would say is CRM. So if you understand how to build these, but more importantly, what a good CRM looks like. And that's mostly it for the hard skills. There might be some that are missing, but those are the core ones that come to mind. And then there are the soft skills that go into closing, which is going to be the difference in traffic sources, whether this is going to be paid, this is going to be outbound, full cycle, this is going to be inbound, organic. Now, I say those terms, those might not mean anything to you watching this, but inbound is leads that just come into you through organic means, which could be SEO, maybe you're in an actual physical location or different things. Paid is paid advertising, so referring to people who just found you in a short sales cycle, and outbound is going to be you going out and finding people and pulling them into your ecosystem. Other soft skills are going to include strategy and process. So this is going to be the effective sequence to sell, to close, to sell and close. What I mean by that is one of our members, Martin, signed a business who was a competitor to the company he used to work for. Now, some of you might be in industries, you worry about non-competes. We've not had any issues with people going out there and competing with businesses that they used to have sold for or companies that are competitors. Aside from that, what Martin knew was the best strategy or approach to get the attention of people and pull them in and close them for a specific type of product or service. He had learned this for working through one of the leaders in his industry and was able to partner with a company that was trying to compete with that leader and bring that best practice and process in. How the founder communicated, what were the standards, methods, how much if they would do things. So it's a blend between hard and soft experience that he had there. Okay, now other hard skills too to develop that will sometimes serve you and help you are going to be marketing. This is going to be recruiting, and this is going to be managing, and this is going to be training. The reason why these are important is because you can be a great salesperson, but the ability to recruit, train, and manage salespeople is what's going to allow you to multiply yourself. Now, I have a full-blown program that talks about how to do these things, and we help people develop these skills. We even have Justin, who was one of our success stories, that took exactly what we used for management to help grow his client or offer that he was working on to the first $1 million months, and they were able to sustain that for a couple months in a row. Now, he was someone who was just a closer, had never been a manager before, and using our process was able to do that and unlock the potential out of his team. You see, that right there is how you get leverage and make more money with existing clients. But marketing is probably the hardest one on this list to learn, just because there's a lot of other technical skills that go into marketing, but that's definitely a topic for another video. If you look at some of my older videos or other videos, you actually see some there talk about media buying paid ads. So now we've broken down how to reframe your experience so that you can enter consulting, the actual skills that you should have. The next thing we're going to look at is going to be belief shift. Now this is not a hard skill. This is not a soft skill. This is just something that you have to develop a routine or practice of for yourself internally. And that is holding yourself accountable to achieving the outcomes that you want to have in your life. A lot of the sales consultants that I have get stuck on inner belief. And what I mean by that is that they are so familiar and comfortable with how their life used to be as a salesperson that when they look up at those people who are consulting and leading sales teams, they have a hard time seeing themselves up there. They have a hard time seeing themselves as that manager that other people look up to. And that is nothing more than a belief that needs to be shifted, that you can be someone who joins others at the top of management, who has status and has the ability to lead. Because believe it or not, there was a point in time that even I didn't know how to do these things. And still to this day, I am learning a lot of things, trying a lot of things, watching ideas that I have blow up in front of my face. And even my first clients, they're still not with me to this day. And there's a reason. It's because there's a point in time where even I wasn't great at what I was doing. But what I did have was the belief that I could be somebody great at it. And my newer clients, my later clients have all been better than my last ones. I've been able to get better results, create more income, and have better impact. Now, was I okay back then? Sure, but I'm a lot better now. But the point is there's no way to get to a place where you have skill without doing the things that give you skill. And that starts with believing that you are someone who is worthy and capable of having them, and you have to want them. And that starts with being somebody who actually wants to have them because you understand the power that they bring you. Imagine a world where you're not waiting for leads to come into your calendar, where you understand what makes some products easy to sell and some products hard to sell, where you understand how to just create money out of thin air. That is the ultimate place that you want to get to as a consultant. Someone who has all the contextual understanding of the game, the tactical ability to know what to do. But the reason why that this is important is not for the sake of making money, but for the sake of being safe and being able to have a future or a career that you're excited for. Because when you have a lot of context and a lot of experience, you can work for a lot of cool people. I myself now could go get a job as a performance marketer, as a sales manager, as a chief of staff, as a recruiter. And those are all things that I wouldn't have been able to do before if I hadn't have made the jump into consulting. There was a point in time where the only thing that I was qualified to do was sit on an inbound calendar, close calls, and collect cash. But that is great until the calls stop coming, the cash stops flowing, and then I'm left with my hat in my hands wondering what I'm supposed to do. But because I have the skills that I have, I know how to fix businesses that go into those places and solve the problems that my younger self had to deal with. Had I known what I know now, I would have been so much further ahead. Like a lot of you guys are who have been so brave to join me in this program. You can learn from my mistakes and get there that much faster. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you're a salesperson and this speaks to you, well, click the first link in the description to get access to what is our high ticket growth consulting mini program. For the first time, we are now lowering the barrier of entry to make it easier for you salespeople to get into it. Most salespeople are in places where they might not have the time or the understanding or a lot of the stuff we covered in this video start their journey as a growth consultant. And that's why we've created something special for you to be able to take advantage of. So that way you can use whatever time and resources that you have to begin building for a future and a better tomorrow. And in that, we also break down step by step how to get your first consulting client and how to begin building the beliefs, building the experience. That way you can hit a place where you don't have to be on sales calls ever again. All right, that's all for this video. I will see you guys in the next one.